the race gets underway. It's a good start, though, for Jordan Johnson, who pulls clear of Ben Hansey as they turn into the opening corner to begin the 5th round of the season for another 15-minute race. And Tomlinson there in 3rd. Richardson, who didn't have a good run yesterday, a winner from Croft, he's there in 4th, ahead of Felix Lowe. It's 3 abreast through the banking. On the outside line is Matthew Short, probably about the most experienced driver on the grid, and he's just trying to work his way around the outside there. But it is Jordan Johnson then, yesterday's winner, the first 2-time winner of the season, who leads the way. It was a close battle between him and Ben Hansey yesterday, so we'll see if that continues into day 2.
Johnson getting good speed down through school then, out of church, but he's definitely under pressure from Ben Hansey, and this dice looks a close one as well, with Adrian Johnson, I should say, scrapping away with behind him Lloyd Huggins. On the inside, Matthew Short, 2 further white cars tucked in behind. Short's going to get the place here, though, on Lloyd Huggins, as long as he can close into the apex at Peel Corner, and just nips through to slot in behind Adrian Johnson in the black car with the green door mirrors. Blue car on the inside of this twosome is David Brown in number 27, trying to be later on the brakes, but around the outside, a neat little overtake there on Brown. But here's the race leader, together with the next 3 cars, really. It's the primer grey of Jordan Johnson from pole position, still leading as we almost complete the first lap.
So accelerate their way back towards the line. They have to deal with the left-hander at bus stop before that first lap can be completed, though, with Johnson as the leader. The 31-year-old HGV mechanic from Gloucester then leads the way, as he did all day yesterday. He led a lot of the time at Croft as well, but was involved in an incident with Ben Hansey. Ben was very apologetic for that one, and then Jordan came through to win on the Sunday on that occasion. Ian Tomlinson, who's having a good run here at Anglesey, he's still there in 3rd spot. Matthew Short, though, under threat from Lloyd Huggins, whose birthday is today. So happy birthday to Lloyd, who's 27 today. He's running in 8th position and battling away with Matthew Short. What a better way to spend your birthday. It could be sunny, but apart from that, it's a good way, isn't it, Johnny?
True. I'm sure he had a good evening last night, though, and thinking about business today. A very busy birthday, and he's busy right in this moment too, because Huggins all again about where he's putting the car in the middle of the road. Meanwhile, Matthew Short trying to be later on the brakes than the car on his inside, Adrian Johnson, and Johnson caught a bit too much of the curb there. That's a great bit of driving from Short to be on the outside line through the first bit of rocket, but then inside for the crucial right-hander and picked off the place. And now that means Johnson is well out of position, and to capitalise, Lloyd Huggins. So 27 years old today, and he's now into the top 7 places, although here comes the 22 back on the fight back, and Johnson can get again on the inside line onto Tom Price straight and take the place back again. Brilliant racing.
3 cars in the lead, scrap still, because Jordan Johnson can't break clear of Ben Hansey and Ian Tomlinson at this stage. And then this battle that we've been enjoying between Adrian Johnson, Lloyd Huggins, you've got Matthew Pennyfather-Neal and Jake Micklewright in there too. Jake, who had a spin at the start of yesterday's race, but qualified really well yesterday. So can Jake Micklewright get through this scrabble as a lock up for the race leader, Jordan Johnson, who runs out wide. So Ben Hansey's alongside. This is Ben's first opportunity of the weekend to take the lead of the race, and he's on that inside line for turn 1, but Johnson's going to try and hang it out on the outside. This could give Ian Tomlinson a chance. Johnson uses all the road and all the curb as well to keep that lead, and if anything, Ben Hansey may lose out now, because Tomlinson on the outside line equally can't get through. So Ian Tomlinson, who was the runner-up in 2019 to Ben Hansey in the championship, they both at this stage, Johnny, can't find a way past Jordan Johnson.
Very easy for Jordan to have lost his head there and then outbrake himself into turn 1, the very next corner, but he actually ran really deep into it, but it was in a controlled fashion, rode the curb as you said, and actually retained the race lead. But here comes Ben Hansey, having been under pressure through the banking by Ian Tomlinson. Hansey reckons his car's better on the brakes, and he might have an argument there. trying to give him some room on the exit of the first bit of Rocket is the race leader, Jordan Johnson. He's not the race leader anymore because Ben Hansey has forced his way through. I don't think there was any contact, though. Hansey realising he's got to strike right now. And here comes Ian Tomlinson wanting a bit of it too. On the inside of Peel, next corner's a left-hander. So Hansey, changing up through the box there, stays in third position. To be honest, the win could come from any of these three right now.
And Oak Richardson's not far back, and if they continue their battle, we could get a fourth car into this lead battle. This is much more like Mazda MX-5 racing that we've come to expect. We had a great triple header at Croft 4 weeks ago, and this is very much replicating the battles that we had on that occasion. And it is Hansey then who leads Johnson as they make their way up towards the final corner again. This is where it all started a lap ago when Jordan Johnson locked up, ran out wide, and then for about the next half a lap, he and Ben Hansey were running side by side, and Hansey finally took that lead. And can he now clear the toe? Can he pull away from Jordan Johnson? That's perhaps unlikely with 9.5 minutes of the race to go. A good scrap for fifth position now because Matthew Short is coming under pressure from birthday boy Lloyd Huggins, and then just behind them is Adrian Johnson, Matthew Neal and Jake Micklewright. So that's a great battle. That's all because Felix Lowe has dropped behind that group after perhaps a mistake on that last lap. But the race leaders up towards Church Corner. Can Jordan Johnson do to what Ben Hansey, to what he did to him a lap ago?
I think there was a hint of a lock-up for Ben Hansey that time around. A bit of bump drafting now from Jordan Johnson. He definitely gave him a shove as they came out of Church and now through School. So Johnson feeling that he's a little quicker than the white and black car with the green stripe of Ben Hansey that currently leads. 92. Again, it's the draft really that is benefiting because when the 92 car was out front, it did not seem to have any speed whatsoever, and Hansey had the more potent machine. Now the roles have reversed. Definitely the advantage again with the second place car, and Ian Tomlinson needing to stay in touch as well. There's a spin further back out of vision for 91.31. So that is Neil Burrows, who was running a little further outside of the top 10. Meantime, bit wide there for the car in front of Adrian Johnson, who is now the 32 car of Micklewright. So Jake Micklewright with a slight moment out onto the grass. He controlled it well and could defend into Siemens.
And he's gained places since the start of the lap because he was 2 places behind Adrian Johnson, and he has passed both Johnson and Matthew Neal as Matthew Short runs out wide. This is going really well for Lloyd Huggins. He could get 5th position out of this before the end, or Micklewright gets shown the edge of the circuit and a little bit further there on the outside of hairpins. He's also going to lose places as we complete 4 laps of the race just before half distance. Short has held on to 5th then. You've got a glimpse of that ahead of Lloyd Huggins. The leaders head through with a new fastest lap for Ben Hansey, 1 minute 49.3. And like the low cost, not quite able to get quicker than they went yesterday at this stage. A few tenths slower than the warm conditions yesterday, but perhaps those lap times will come down as the tyres get into their operating window without overheating like they were yesterday. Looking back to the battle for 5th position, and Lloyd Huggins has gone through then. He's ahead of Matthew Short. So Huggins, who started racing 4 seasons ago, has got himself ahead of Short, but they've got Adrian Johnson not far behind with Matthew Neal and Jake Micklewright. So this could all change again at the next corner, Johnny.
Yeah, glued to Lloyd Huggins' rear bumper then is Matthew Short, and is Huggins going to keep that door open? Well, he is, because he's actually got very good speed into Rocket, can hit the brakes with confidence, and on neither side of the red car was Matthew Short, just couldn't get the car slowed as readily as the one he's battling with. 3 cars as one leaving Rocket towards Peel. That's Johnson, Matthew Pennyfather Neal, and just tucked in behind is the Jake Micklewright car, and they've been switching places for the last couple of laps as well. So there's Pennyfather Neal in the second of the white cars, number 21. Lloyd Huggins trying to eke that gap out though over Matthew Short. This is for 5th position now. Oak Richardson is up the road and gone, but it's still just about a 5-car train arriving and now departing hairpin.
All this battle quite important for the later race as well, which is a reverse grid, and anything between 6 and 10 cars can be reversed, similar to the British Touring Car Championship. So this group of cars is likely to see the pole sitter for later on. which should add a bit of spice to the third race of the weekend, which will come this afternoon. But for the lead of the race, Jordan Johnson has reclosed in on Ben Hansey. I just wonder, a couple of laps ago, Johnny, where you saw Jordan Johnson happy just to push Ben Hansey along. He was just hoping for the two of them to pull clear of Ian Tomlinson, which they have done so now, and he doesn't have to worry about looking in his mirrors. He can just go forwards and get ahead of Ben Hansey. And is that going to come up at the next corner?
Yeah, might do, because again, he's got a good run, and that gap is definitely closing. Again, tucked right in behind the rear bumper of the race leader, Ben Hansey. But what you don't want to do is jink out of line too early, because you'll instantly run out of momentum then, and the benefit that the car in front is giving to you. So it's line astern at the moment. Ben Hansey ahead of Jordan Johnson, but that gap has been growing for the last few laps back to Ian Tomlinson. A little bit helpless there in third position. The better news for him is that he's under no immediate threat for third from Oak Richardson, who likewise doesn't have any threat from behind, because Lloyd Huggins has his arms full of this Matthew Short, Adrian Johnson and Jake Micklewright battle.
Yeah, so plenty to watch for during the course of this fifth round of the Switch MX-5 Cup by 5 Club Racing. And Jordan Johnson breaks desperately late. He's right there on the bumper of Ben Hansey. I feared for a moment he may have tagged the back, but he managed to avoid that. As he said yesterday to Andy, he doesn't want any more contact after what happened at Croft. And they turn their way up towards Siemens for up towards the bus stop, I should say, for the sixth time of asking. Hansey gets a bit sideways, a wider line used by Johnson, but it's still the double champion, Ben Hansey, who leads the way ahead of Jordan Johnson, who only won for the third time in his racing career yesterday. He's looking to add another one, but if he can do that, he will have to get past Ben Hansey first. The fastest lap still with Hansey, though, the race leader of 149.3. Not as quick as Hansey could manage yesterday. So they head up towards Church Corner. Johnson will be looking for a good exit here so he can get that long run up towards the Rocket braking zone. He's catching by the time they get through the school right-hander. He's alongside Ben Hansey. He's nosing ahead, but he's on the outside line as they head into Rocket. So Hansey breaks later than Johnson, and that means he stays in the lead, and he slides out wide. But it's not a bad thing to slide out wide at Rocket in, because that gives you the inside line for Rocket out.
True, and automatically defends then into the second apex at Rocket, but you have to make sure there's nobody alongside you as you do that. In fairness, most of the time this weekend there's been a lot of fair racing and ability to read where the car is alongside you. So Johnson trying, that was a dangerous game, maybe to get his front wheels level with the rears of Ben Hansey in the braking area for Siemens. Half drifting his way through the left-hander onto Tom Price Straight was Oak Richardson there in the blue car running fourth. Again, Johnson pulling out a line from Ben Hansey briefly into the braking area. Now he can apply the throttle a little earlier than Hansey ahead of him, but there's no real estate really to aim at. Goes to the right. This again is the more awkward place to be attempting an overtake, because it's the outside line. And this time, almost side by side for the two leaders, but they're going to be presented with the driving standards flag. Let's hope not for either of those, and we'll try and work out exactly who it's been flown towards. Back across the line they go, 2 minutes left.
Yes, we should squeeze 2 further laps out like we did in the low costs a moment ago. And Johnson to the outside of Hansey. There was just a gap of 0.13 of a second at the line. But Johnson has realised over the last couple of laps it's not so easy to get into the lead of the race, and he's only got a few more chances to manage that. So as they turn right through Church Corner, slightly tighter line used by Johnson. Is that going to give him a better exit speed? He's right down the bumper of Hansey. Again, he's happy just to push Hansey along and give Hansey a mile per hour or two's advantage. Perhaps so towards Rocket. Are we going to see a challenge, or is he going to leave it to the last lap, Johnny?
Interesting, Ben Hansey actually defends way out of the corner at Rocket. He moves his car over to the left when the more natural racing line is probably a car width or two to the right of that. But that's just fending off Johnson's main line of attack. And I suppose one movement like that is okay. They're still under power at the time that he's doing that, but it means that Johnson can't then slither his way up the inside by the time they're hitting the brakes at the top of the hill. There is Ian Tomlinson then in the beautifully turned out number 9 car with that sort of dark metallic maroon colour. looks pretty stable through the left-hander at Siemens, just doesn't quite have the potency of these two cars, and the same can be said for Oak Richardson in 4th place. Lloyd Huggins, by the way, still embroiled in a battle with Matthew Short and has Adrian Johnson and Jake Micklewright at close quarters, but understandably so. We're focusing on this lead battle, which again, Ben Hansey's feeling the need to move from the right, now to the middle, now to the right again, to fend off any chance that Jordan Johnson can get to move by.
1 lap to go then. They will get the final lap board now as they cross the line with Hansey ahead of Johnson. Now, Jordan Johnson's had a few laps to think where he may be stronger than Ben Hansey. Can he bring that to use? How Ben Hansey's defending, particularly into the final corner, makes you wonder if he feels that Johnson may be better there. It's a good exit to the banking, though, for Ben Hansey. So that's a good start to the lap, then, for the race leader in one of the many BS Motorsport run cars, the Ben Short run team. But Johnson's got a really, really good exit out of Church Corner, so he draws up behind Hansey and alongside Hansey. He's on the right-hand side of the circuit, though, which is the outside line into Rocket. Who will be the last of the late breakers? It's going to be Hansey on the inside line, but they're absolutely level. The better line for Hansey, though, means he hangs on here, but only just, with Johnson trying the outside line.
Can't do it around the outside at Rocket, because the inside line is that much shorter. I wondered whether it was going to be the outside-inside touch at Rocket, but I haven't seen that done all weekend, and you need so much ability to judge the car dimensions around you. More likely manoeuvre maybe into hairpin, but Jordan's going to need a good exit coming out of Siemens, this corner, the left-hander, and as they climb then over the rise, it's a significant incline. Again, the grey car, number 92, is going to be level just about in the braking area with Ben Hansey, but Hansey has the crucial inside line. As long as he doesn't overdo it, let's see what the exit is like for the two cars. Johnson had to check out of the throttle there, and I think that's his chance gone now of a real challenge into the final corner, Josh.
Yeah, let's see. He looks at the last moment. Let's hope this doesn't end how it ended at Croft. It was the opposite way around on that occasion, but no, Ben Hansey hangs on. He runs a little bit wider than Jordan Johnson, but it's a short run to the line, and the BS Motorsport team celebrate on the pit wall. Ben Hansey celebrates in the car. A great race then from the 5 Club Racing MX-5 Cup by 0.14 of a second. Ben Hansey is the race winner from Jordan Johnson, and Ian Tomlinson in 3rd. 4th went the way of Oak Richardson. 5th to Lloyd Huggins. Congratulations to Lloyd. I think that's his best result in the series. In 6th position for Matthew Short for 7th. Well, there's 4 of them all together now because Martin Vernon closed in at the end. Wasn't able to progress, though, with Adrian Johnson 7th, ahead of Matthew Pennefather-Neal and Jake Micklewright. Nico Favo comes home in what is 11th position, ahead of David Brown, who beats Mary Barnard. And then up across the line, another battle as well that we weren't able to focus on much during the course of the race because of the battles at the front. That was Steve Quemby beating Martina Ward. So battles all the way through the pack there, Johnny, and really good racing, as you said, during the course of that race as well. Really respectful racing between the competitors here.
And that's important because, you know, the nature of this club racing, budgets are always going to be tight and you need to try and avoid contact where possible. Always there's going to be a bit of damage and therefore some money put aside to repair that. But what we don't want is big incidents and cars in barriers. And as you said, it was side by side. It was very close, but very little contact, if any at all.
Yeah, that's how we do it with the 5 Club Racing category. And this is how the 5th round of the championship saw the checkered flag, with Ben Hansey taking his 2nd win of the season with a victory margin of just over 1/10 of a second over Jordan Johnson after that race-long scrap. Ian Tomlinson, he came 3rd, another podium for him here this weekend at Anglesey. Oak Richardson, lonely 4th again, with Lloyd Huggins celebrating his birthday with a top 5 finish. Matthew Short took 6th, ahead of Adrian Johnson, who narrowly beat Matthew Pennefather-Neal. Even closer finishing margin between those two than the top 2. Jake Micklewright was 9th and Martin Vernon 10th, ahead of Nico Favo, David Brown, Mary Barnard and Steve Quemby. In 15th position, in fact, was Martina Ward. In 16th was Chris Moore. And 17th was Neil Burrows, with Felix Lowe not making it to the checkered flag. And it becomes the first retirement of the MX-5 weekend here at Anglesey. The race winners have already headed down into the pit lane, so we can say hello once more to Andy McEwen.
Well, what a fantastic race of the weekend, that one. Probably always close stuff with the 5 Club MX-5. We've got our top 3 drivers here, and what a brilliant battle that was between Ben Hansey and Jordan Johnson. We'll let Ben get out of his car and then have a quick chat with our race winner. But Ben, that was much more like it, really, wasn't it? Proper nip and tuck stuff.
Yeah, I think when I spoke to you yesterday, I said it was a fairly dull race by 5 Club standards. I think we put that right this morning. Team did a bit of tweaks overnight, and just meant I was able to live with Jordan through turn 1 a bit better, which meant that the extra I had on him at Rocket I was able to capitalise on. But I thought Student was going to become the teacher on those last couple of laps, because everything I've ever thrown at Jordan was coming back out of the kit bag to see what he could do, but still got the edge on him.
There was sort of one decisive moment there, wasn't there, when Jordan made the mistake just at the final corner, because track position is so key, you had to pounce.
Yeah, I think that certainly gave me the run through turn 1 and then all the way up to Rocket, and I think he got himself in his own head of that mistake that he'd made. So,
reverse grid race coming up later on, your thoughts?
Reverse grid's always epic. Spend all day finding out who's the fastest and get a bit boring, so turn it upside down on its head, and I'm sure we'll be somewhere near the front anyway, but it should be a giggle.
Looking forward to it. Ben Hansey then getting his second victory of the season, just by a 1/10 of a second over Jordan Johnson. Jordan, that one could have gone either way. We enjoyed watching it. Did you enjoy being part of it?
Yeah, apart from the coming second part, but yeah, it was an awesome race, fair racing between me and Ben. He's done his time and he's taken me to school a bit lately, so I need to cut that out and stop giving him an easy overtakes.
You say easy overtake, you certainly made it difficult for him, but it was that little mistake at the final turn that I just chatted to Ben about. Just a little lock-up. What caused that, do you know?
Him showing me a nose and me being an idiot, really.
Not the words I'd have used, Jordan, but although Ben is agreeing with you over there. Right, let's have a wander around here and chat with Ian Tomlinson again. Second, third place finish for Ian this weekend, and Ian not quite got the pace to stick with these two, but another solid result.
Yeah, no, I'm happy enough with that, really. It's about as good as could have expected. So, yeah.
Whilst these two were trading the lead every lap, you had a pretty quiet race. Did that suit you, or would you have rather been in the fight?
No, I'd have rather been in the fight, really, but it's just the way it goes, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll see what happens the next one.
Well, of course, for that next one with the reversed grid, you get a bit of a track position advantage now. You'll start just ahead of these two. Can you capitalise on that, do you think?
I'll give it a go, but yeah, it's probably going to be difficult. I think they're both, a little bit quicker than me, so I'll just have to see how wide I can make it, yeah.